Hello, cruisers. Meg here with Bite Size Cruises, and today I'm going to tell you about a fun excursion that AJ and I did in the Dominican Republic. We went on a Monkeyland tour with the Dominican Republic Runners Adventures tour group. It was super fun. We got to pet and hold a bunch of spider monkeys and then also see a traditional Dominican Republic country kitchen and learn how they make their hot cocoa and some of their coffee and a lot of other really fun, cool things. So let's get into it. First things first, booking your excursion. So usually this is something you can plan ahead for and figure out what you want to do months in advance. You can go on the website and look at all the cool events that are being offered and the different things that you could do, the different tours you could go on. However, we experienced something a little bit different because our cruise got rerouted because of bad weather. So we have a whole other video about that you can watch and what happens when you get rerouted, what happens when you hit bad weather. Personally, I was actually really excited to get rerouted for this cruise. I know that was not a popular opinion as far as other people on the cruise might have gone. Instead of going to Perfect Day, we went to Labadee, Haiti, which is the other private island by Royal Caribbean, and then also to the Dominican Republic. I had never been to Haiti or the Dominican Republic, so I was very excited, and I am spoiled enough that I'm actually going to be at Perfect Day in about 3 weeks from now. So it was really exciting for me to get to go to another port. However, that meant that we didn't have any excursions planned. There wasn't anything that we knew about because we didn't know we were going there. With that said, what we did on the ship is one night while we were at dinner, John pulled it up in the app to look at the different excursions. So right in the app, you can go in, you can filter it by day or port and other ways just based on what you want to do. And we just started reading through the different things that they had. They had going to see how coffee was made, different shoppings, different things. And that is when Monkeyland adventure caught my attention. So I am a sucker for any cute and furry animal. Not a big surprise there. I'm sure I know most of us tend to be animal lovers, but the idea of getting to hold and feed a spider monkey, something I'd never done before, was really exciting for me. This excursion wasn't crazy expensive or anything like that. I believe it was $89. And the description just talked about going to feed the monkeys. One thing I will say is there was a lot more to this excursion that was not in the explanation. And I did mention to them that they should probably step up what they're saying, because I think a lot more people would have been interested in doing this excursion if they realized everything that went along with it. So once we booked our excursion, we did it right in the app. And then the day before getting to the Dominican Republic, we got a paper ticket delivered to our room, and then we just took the ticket with us. So on the morning when we were at the port, we got up, on your ticket time, it has the time that you're meeting. We were meeting at 7:15 and it had the location, which was the theater. Now, I love Royal Caribbean. I tend to think that they do things really well as far as having it organized, especially with getting on and off the ship. This was a little bit of a mess. It wasn't insanely bad or anything. It's not like we were there for hours, but there has to be a better way to organize this. They had tons of excursions meeting in the same place. And so one person from each party had to go in this long line to go down, and then you got a sticker with a number for your excursion that corresponded to it for you and everyone in your team. You showed them your ticket and your CPAS card. They gave you the stickers, and then you went and waited and just sat there until they called your number. And then once they called your number, you walked in a single file line down through security and off the ship. In theory, that sounds fine, except for once you were off the ship, you still then had to go find your number of where the other excursion is. For an example, when I was on Norwegian in December, and my husband and I did an excursion where we went on a catamaran and then went snorkeling and did a water adventure in Cozumel, Mexico. Highly recommend if you ever get the chance. Snorkeling there is incredible. For that one, we were just told the time to get off the ship, and we walked off the ship and then just went to find the person with the sign. And it was very low stress, very easy. I think this would have worked pretty much the same way because you had to walk all the way down the gangway. and down to the end of the pier. And then you found someone from Runner's Adventure who had the number that corresponded and the sign that said Monkeyland Adventure. So I'm not really sure what the holdup was with going to the theater in the first place. They probably could have saved a lot of time by just telling you to get off the ship. All in all, that was literally my only complaint for the entire day, and it's a very minimal one. So do not let that hold you back by any means. Once we were off the ship, we met up with the tour guides. They were incredibly nice. They call everyone family. They're really trying to tell you how wonderful it is for you to be there. They talk about how important tourism is for their economy and how much they love seeing people there, and truly just talk about how much they love their job. From there, we went and got on a bus, which it did say in the description that it was an open air, like safari bus, and they had some of those for some of the excursions. We were just in a regular van, but it was still great. The tour guide the entire way was pointing out different things, telling us about the Dominican culture. As we passed things, we saw people riding motorcycles. There were 5 people on one motorcycle, or another man had a mattress, and he explained how that is the primary form of transportation there, and that it's very common to see full families on the motorcycles. They told us about how higher education is free for everyone that goes there at the public universities, and then there's also private universities. They explained that children, even of immigrants, have the right to go to school there, that it's in their constitution. He pointed out their police station and what that looks like. They talked about how there's a special police force just to deal with tourists, to make sure that you are safe there, because tourism is such an important thing for them. They never want a tourist to get hurt there. So they have different police that deal with that. Just a ton of information that really made it fascinating. And it was expressed in a way while we were in the car it was about 30 minutes to get to the Monkeyland. And it made it so that we were very intrigued and interested in, during the drive, learning a lot, but it didn't feel salesy. It didn't feel rehearsed. He was just talking to us. I learned that baseball is the #1 sport in the Dominican Republic, which I did not know. And that apparently the 2 big teams there are the Yankees and the Red Sox. And as a girl from Massachusetts, that was exciting to hear. I know I live in Philly now, but I grew up there. And yeah, it was just super fun. We heard a lot of information. And like I said, it was about 30 minutes. I do want to backtrack for a minute because I skipped it. The actual port in the Dominican Republic is my favorite port I've ever been to. It was absolutely beautiful. And because we were leaving right for an excursion and we got back like right before all aboard, we didn't really get to explore it a ton. But it was all very open, and these beautiful shops. They had the pedicure stations where you can get little, your fish eat little things off your feet, which I've always wanted to do and never gotten to experience. So it is very much high on my list to go back to the Dominican Republic and be there for that. But after a 30-minute ride in the van, we got to the Monkeyland Adventure. And again, everyone was super polite, super nice, smiling faces. They were very concerned with cleanliness. There were stations to wash your hands, places to be able to use hand sanitizer. They did ask before we got there that we didn't use any bug spray or sunscreen. I'm assuming that's because the monkeys are going to be eating out of your hand and they don't want to get any toxins or give them any toxins, but there were chances for you to wash your hands. Once we got there, there were very clean bathrooms, and there were also lockers to lock all of your stuff up. I will say that if you do this excursion, there's not really a need to bring a lot with you. I would say bring money with you. Bring a camera if you want to be able to take your own photos and not just the photos that they're going to bring of you. And everything else, just really don't worry about it, because you can't bring any of that in with you. So you're either paying to put it on a locker, leaving it on the van, or something like that. So we did grab a locker and we just put all of our stuff in there, our purses and everything. I think it was $5. It's not like it was a ton of money or anything like that. After that, we went in, and you walk around and down, and there's a little kind of sponge board, which you wipe your feet on just to make sure that you're not tracking anything into the monkey cage. Again, trying to keep everybody clean and everybody and monkeys safe. And you go into this first kind of like pen that's all screened in. And once everybody's in there, they shut this door and then they open that door. And all the monkeys, as soon as they see you, they know that they're about to get treats. They get really excited. They're all climbing on everything. So you walk in, and you file down this very pretty little ramp into kind of a gazebo, and everybody sits down. And then from there, the person who is leading the tour and talking about it tells you a little bit about the monkeys. We learned that there were two males here and they could not be together, that they would fight to the death. So this was the one monkey that we were learning about who was there. He was the male, he was slightly larger. His name was Pablo, and he was the father of all the baby monkeys there. So in some of these videos and the pictures, you'll see little baby monkeys riding on the mom's backs. Fun fact, little boy baby monkeys can stay with their mom up to the age of 5, and then they could be seen as a threat to the dad. So that's when they do have to be separated since the men cannot live together. But it's really cool that they get to stay there, that they get to live with the moms. The little girls will stay. And you'll notice that none of the babies are being fed any of the food because they are all only about, I think he said 2 weeks old in this video, and that they were all born about 2 ounces. So they are still nursing from the mom. So instead, the mothers are just eating the food. As far as the food that we were giving them, it was carrots and cucumbers and other little vegetables. And then the first part that you'll see is the sunflower seeds. You'll actually see there's quite a few monkeys on my head kind of digging in my hair, and that's because there were just sunflower seeds all up in my hair. The way that it worked is the man who was leading the tour would go around and he would put a couple sunflower seeds on your head and in your hand, and the monkeys would just go all over you. They were super sweet. It felt like a little kitten paw. If you've ever held a cat, that's what it felt like. They're so small. They do warn you right away, do not scream when the monkeys jump on you. That is why you're there, for them to be on you. And if you do scream or jump away, it scares the monkeys and they run away, and they're not going to want to be on you. So they just go around. You're asked to be very careful if you have your phone out taking photos, because they will try and take your phone. I have a very close-up picture of a monkey's eye because at one point I was taking a selfie and he put his face right there to see if that too was food. The other thing that they warn you about is making sure that you don't have your hands closed in fist, because the monkeys are so curious that they will think that you're hiding food in there, and they might even bite your fingers for it to get open. Nobody got any bites on our tour or anything like that. The monkeys were all incredibly sweet and adorable. And what was really cool is I thought maybe they'd only go around once, and they must have gone around about at least like 6 times, doing the seeds a few times, then doing the little bowls full of cucumbers and carrots. And you got to hold the monkeys as much as you wanted to. And a few people who were nervous in the beginning, they could see it a little bit more, so they were able to. There were a couple kids and teenagers there because this is a very much a family-friendly excursion. And there were some younger kids who, in theory, were really excited. And then when they saw the monkeys, they got a little nervous. But once everybody had kind of gone around once or twice in it, then they were willing to have the monkeys crawl on them as well. There's also a professional photographer who comes around and takes photos, and they do solo photos, they do family shots, and they take a whole bunch of you with the monkeys. And yeah, it was absolutely great. If I was allowed to bring one home, I 100% would have. I also learned that the spider monkeys are not native to the Dominican Republic, that they were brought there and they live there in captivity, which, different people have different feelings about. But we learned that they do live a lot longer in captivity there. Obviously, they don't have any predators. And from everything I could see, the staff there absolutely love these monkeys, and their well-being is definitely the number one priority. I thought it was great that they were telling us facts and keeping us interested. The person that was running it, just all of the monkeys were all over him the entire time, and he was just putting them on people, and they would just come back. They clearly love him. They know he's the one that has all the snacks. And yeah, it was 10 out of 10, one of the best experiences of my life. I absolutely loved being surrounded by all of those monkeys. I told my partner that if we go back to the Dominican, or if he's able to come with me back to the Dominican Republic, I will do this excursion all over again so that he gets to experience it, so I get to experience it again. It was fantastic. And I was under the impression that that was the whole thing. That was the whole excursion. However, so once they were done, It was really funny. We walked back up the little trail, and the trainer walked over and dumped out a bunch of the food to get all the monkeys to go there while we all went through the door. And then he tossed a bunch of food and ran back through the door to close it to make sure all the monkeys were still in, made sure none of the monkeys were in the outer cage. And then we walked out, and everyone was able to go wash their hands and get their belongings. From there, it does enter into a gift shop where there's lots to buy. Now, here's my thing. I think the gift shop should have been after the next part because everybody was willing to buy things and spend some money, but we all thought that that was the end of the excursion, and there wasn't. So you're able to look at your pictures, and if you decide you want to buy them, you get a code for a digital download. We did buy ours. We got about 30 photos for $35 for the download. The photos are great. I will say they all came out kind of dark, so I did open them up in Photoshop and lighten them a little bit just for my own personal preference. However, the photos are great. They're really funny. You can see a lot of them here. It's just a really great experience. It's definitely something that feels once in a lifetime, unless you're lucky enough to be able to go back to a place like this or experience it again. In the gift shop, they also had hot cocoa, they had coffee, they had stuffed animals and magnets and all kinds of things. They also had an alcohol called Mama Juana, which I'm going to talk more about in a minute. But they had all of these great things that you could purchase. I also appreciated that they took card, Apple Pay, cash, they took everything there. After that, when we all thought the excursion was over and we were headed back, they actually led us down over this beautiful bridge and around to what they called a traditional Dominican Republic country kitchen and house. So it was set up for someone who would live out in the countryside in the Dominican Republic and what their house would normally look like. So there was no electricity, there was no stove or anything inside, and the kitchen was outside. So they walked us through the house and pointed out things that are common to have in their culture and their house, which I thought was super cool. It was very neat and felt very welcoming and inviting. We walked through, and then it took you down and around, and we went and sat on these long benches, almost like picnic table benches, to listen to their demo. And from there, they made some of their hot cocoa, which they're famous for. And again, they were still spouting out all these really interesting facts. One that I thought was really cool was that their cocoa had won best cocoa in the world in the past 2 years, and their biggest exports of it being Haiti, which is right next door, the United States, and then also Switzerland, which is known for their chocolate, but usually uses the Dominican Republic cocoa. Super fun fact, very cool. So they made hot cocoa right in front of us. And from there, they explained how they put cinnamon sticks and an orange leaf. And then we were all able to try samples of the hot cocoa. It was delicious. One of the best cocos in my entire life. I truly loved it. I actually bought a can of the cocoa to bring home, or the jar of the cocoa to bring home, and I'm going to experiment trying to make it here by myself. The other thing that they did was they showed us how they crush up their coffee beans and make their organic coffee. It was really cool. They invited the kids up in the group to smash it and get their hands there. They allowed the parents to take photos. Again, just very family oriented, very thoughtful in their execution. And then they asked who prefers coffee with sugar and who doesn't. AJ and I both just tried the coffee without sugar. I realized we probably should have tried one of each, but anyway, it was spectacular. So good. As someone who considers herself a bit of a coffee snob, we drank a lot of coffee at Bite Size. John roasts his own coffee, and it was fantastic. Very, very good. And then after that sample, we were able to sample Mama Juana, which is their spirit that they're known for. And everyone who was 18 or older was able to try the alcohol because that is the drinking age there. They passed out little samples, and it reminded me of kind of a mulled wine. It was great. I also bought a bottle of that to come home. And so it's a bottle that has, actually, one second. So this is a bottle of the Mama Juana. I'm sorry that it got ripped. When you get back on the ship, if you've bought alcohol, they wrap it in masking tape and put the number of your stateroom on it because you're not allowed to bring the alcohol back to your room. And unfortunately, when I removed the tape, it ripped off some of the label. But you can kind of see here. So it's filled with all of these really cool things, like I think cinnamon sticks, different, like it almost looks like branches. I'm guessing they're not branches, but looks like there's like a leaf there. He said that it's, natural flavoring, all of these really cool things that are in there. It is not in English, or else I would read it for you. And then he said it was 3 to 4 fingers of sweet red wine, 3 fingers of honey, and then 3 to 4 fingers of rum. And that we tasted it. It was incredible. It was super good. I bought a bottle to bring home and have for Thanksgiving with my family. And then what's really cool is he said that once the bottle's done, we can fill it back up with that recipe and get a second bottle out of it. So I'm really excited to try that. And while I was grabbing that, I also went and got, so this is the cocoa that I bought from them. It smells incredible. It's not ground super fine, so I have to figure out exactly if it'll dissolve in the hot water or what. I like that their hot chocolate is made with just water, as someone who tries to not do a lot of dairy. So again, it's just hot water, an orange leaf, and a cinnamon stick. I do not have any orange leaves, but I do have some orange extract, so I might try that. I'll let you know how it goes. And then the other thing, my stateroom attendant on board told me to try their vanilla, that it's some of the best vanilla she's ever had. And it's like when you go to a restaurant, always ask the waiters, what's the best thing to order? Trust the locals. So my stateroom attendant told me that you definitely want to try the vanilla. And they talked about too, look at the size of this bottle. I thought it was going to be vanilla syrup like you would put in your coffee. This is vanilla extract. It is a giant bottle of vanilla extract. I think the whole thing was like $5 or $10. And it smells so different than any vanilla you've ever smelled before. It's incredible. It tastes so good. And they have the clear vanilla and they also have dark vanilla. So this will last forever. I'm probably going to give some of it to my mother-in-law for Christmas. If you're watching this, hi. But yeah, so this is what I meant by going through the gift shop was great, but I wish it would have happened after this because you're then buying all of these things. So, you bought things in the gift shop and then you come out and you buy these things, and it was better to know what you were getting after you sampled everything. After that, we got back on the bus, and again, we all thought we were going back to the ship and that the excursion was over, but we actually stopped again at a local artisan shop, and this was incredible. So they had all these local artists that were making pottery and jewelry, and they were rolling cigars. I asked the man rolling the cigar, if I could take a video of him, which is what you're going to see here. And it was so great that I tipped him for letting me take the video, and then he turned around and gave me 2 free cigars. So, gave me a free cigar and then turned around and gave 2 to AJ, who was there with me. And I did not smoke it. We'll have to ask John how it was, but it was a chocolate cigar. So just, again, so incredibly sweet. Everyone there was so nice. They were all willing to have their picture taken. They were all willing to say things to the videos and things like that, and just really get the name out there. After that, and after being at the excursion, we hopped back on the bus, and it was about 30-minute ride back. We met some lovely people on the bus. So if you are watching this, I'm still supposed to make a TikTok with one of the little girls who was on the bus. So, come on another cruise so we can make a TikTok together. It was really great meeting you, and the little boy who was going to sing Journey at karaoke that I missed. So I think it's time that you guys have to come back on another cruise and let me know. But it was wonderful meeting them. We had such a great time. And then we got back to the port. And like I said, it was almost on all aboard time. So we got back on the ship. But overall, this was an incredible excursion. Definitely one of the best I've ever done. I cannot recommend enough. I think everybody should go do this if you happen to like monkeys. And if you don't like monkeys, I have lots of questions for you. But anyway, I really appreciate you watching, and yeah, reach out and let me know if you've done this excursion, if you've done another one with a monkey, or if there's a certain excursion you want to hear about that I should try. I'm going to be on this Symphony of the Seas in 3 weeks, and we are doing a That one's really cool. My husband and my in-laws are coming on that one with me. So we're doing a big family trip and we have a lot of cool excursions planned that I'm going to talk to you about. We're doing a champagne tasting on a catamaran and some snorkeling. And then we are also got one of the private cabanas at Perfect Day. So I can't wait to talk about all of that with you, but I do have a free day with no excursion, I believe, when I'm in St. Martin. So if there's something particular you've been thinking about trying out or would like to see, let me know. All right. Have a great day.